Across the country, energy prices are climbing more than twice as fast as inflation as the impacts of Trump administration policies begin to take effect, and it could become a focus as we head into the midterm elections. While the Consumer Price Index, which measures the average change in prices, increased 2.7% over the past 12 months, energy prices rose by 5.5%. According to an analysis from the Center for American Progress, nearly 60 utility companies are set to increase rates this year, totaling more than $38 billion for electric customers and $3.5 billion for natural gas customers.
So many people right now are just barely making it by, living paycheck to paycheck, just trying to make ends meet. And with everything that's been going on, to throw a spike in the cost of utilities on top of that, it's just catastrophic for a lot of households out there. But that's what we're seeing all over the country right now. There's been an absolute boom in the utility prices this summer, and it's only going to increase from here. And yeah, as they're saying, there's a 5.5% increase, but we're seeing people with a 10% increase and some people with a 50% increase. I've been talking to some clients and they're saying that their power bills have been increasing several $100s per month now. And like I said, if you are one of those people, if you are one of those households that are just barely making it by, in a lot of cases, this can be more than a lot of households can actually bear.
Where's the money going?
Dublin homeowner Connor Childs, like plenty of other AEP Ohio customers who have contacted the On Your Side team, asking the same serious questions about their skyrocketing summer electric bills.
Like, you're expecting about things to be about the same as they were the previous year, and then you come in to the following year and it's even more expensive than you were expecting. You're like, oh, I gotta cut back this month.
Child says plenty of families are struggling, and this certainly isn't helping.
Right now, we know how expensive groceries and everything are, so even 1 month of somebody living paycheck to paycheck and it being $20 more than the previous month can be a significant impact for somebody that is already struggling to make ends meet.
Our Kate Seifert conducted an online poll and look at the numbers. More than 88% of respondents say their electric bills have gone up this summer. We spoke with Ryan Forbes. He's the VP of Distribution Operations at AEP Ohio. He says there are several factors leading to higher bills. One of the biggest factors, the summer heat, leading to an increase in electricity use.
It's a supply and demand issue. You know, we are seeing increasing demand for generation and megawatts right now on the grid, and the supply has been reduced over the past 5 to 10 years.
They can talk about supply and demand. They can try to push this off as being the fault of the consumer, but we know that the biggest problem that we are facing with the energy market and the grid right now is just failing old infrastructure and methods to provide energy that are just outdated, and they can't outpace the actual need for energy. It's not just the consumer that's using their air conditioner just a little bit more because it's hot outside. With the proliferation of data centers all over the country, we've already seen energy suppliers have a hard time actually meeting the need of the overall market. But now you put a bunch of new AI data centers out there that consume much more energy than traditional data centers do, and that's stressing out the market even more. Listen, the big beautiful bill, one of the things that it did is really strike a blow against the culture of clean energy and the movement for more solar and wind generated electricity. And one of the problems with that is transmission of that electricity to the consumer, because 95% of the energy that's actually captured goes to waste. And by going ahead and throwing away, say that we're just going to focus on coal plants to supply energy, knowing that that's an incredibly expensive, knowing that the infrastructure for coal-produced energy is just out of date, it's crumbling. It costs hundreds of millions of dollars a year just to maintain. And the goal has been for the longest time to really focus on a new era of energy production, getting away from the fossil fuels and going for something more clean and more efficient. Because if there's a 95% loss of the energy that's captured, the problem isn't with the method of capture, the problem is with transmission and battery storage. Really, that's all it is, because the technology hasn't developed enough to actually store the energy. So it essentially just gets lost. And instead of actually working to go ahead and get that energy and give it to the people, we're just going to rely on what? The old methods that have led us to the point now where we have an energy shortage, where people are going to have to stop using their air conditioners. And in the wintertime, that means that they're going to do what? Just not use the heater? Have you ever lived in a place where you go months at a time in single digit weather? You think that you're just not going to use your heater? No, you're going to rack up what usually would be a $300 or $400 bill, but now is going to end up being a $500 or $600 bill. And with how the cost of living is actually impacting most households out there now, it's going to strike a death blow to the household finances of millions of families out there. And again, the only people who are actually going to be paying for these cost increases to the energy, because the demand is just so high and the supply is just so low, is just the basic consumer. It's the average American household, because the big tech firms out there that are using all this data, that are using this energy for their data warehouses, that are using this energy for their AI, these energy costs are just a tax write-off to them. So they're not even going to pay for this. The people who are paying for this are people like you and I. Our families are paying for this, but we're not reaping any kind of benefits from it except using ChatGPT or watching some videos on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. It's a real step backwards when we're talking about actually making our country more energy independent, because it just creates more scarcity. And we're entering a time of scarcity when it comes to so many things in America. And now we have to worry about energy. We have to worry about power. We have to worry about keeping the house in a livable temperature while the temperatures are constantly going up because of climate change. And in the wintertime, they're getting colder and colder depending on where you're at. So that means that you're going to have to use either more natural gas or more electricity to heat your home. It's going to get bad. This is bad because it's just starting. We're seeing some people have $50, $100, $200 increases on their power bill. And these are, of course, peak seasons during the summer and during the wintertime. But experts are saying that by 2030, utility prices are expected to double. And that means in those expensive months, say if you're on a fixed income, right? You just have enough money to really get by. You're retired, you're older, or not. You're a family who's struggling to really put it together to get life started. Now you're gonna have to incur $500, $600, $700, $800 power bills. I know some people in Wyoming who during the wintertime have $600 a month power bills. Now that's gonna increase to $1,200 a month. And these are people on fixed income. In a lot of the rural states, a lot of people who live there, they are dependent on fixed income. They are dependent on government programs to actually maintain their households. Now they're not going to be able to. And with the more privatization that we see with utilities out there, there's really no way to cap the prices except for what people can actually afford before they just stop paying their bills altogether. But at this point, especially depending at where you live, electricity should almost be a human right at that point. Because if you're talking about you're living in Arizona during the summertime, it's 120, 130 degrees in Phoenix. You're not going to be able to live. You're just a normal average person. You're not going to be able to live without air conditioning. You're just not going to. And Americans, we love air conditioning. And it's really just been a luxury in America to have cheaper power bills for the longest time. But with the more the tech sector grows and the more energy demand they have, the more energy is becoming a scarce resource. And the foolish choices that are being done by our politicians to maintain our addiction to the fossil fuel industry is just going to make things worse. I mean, it's just one thing after another in this country, just trying to make it paycheck to paycheck for most people. And is that going to fly? Are people just not going to use their air conditioner anymore? Are they not going to use their heater anymore? It's a ridiculous thing to even think about. It's not even just that it's a first world country. It's a matter of survival at some point. And how long can the people just expect to kind of pay this price gouging? Because that's what it is. Well, at the same time, these corporations don't even have to pay for it because their power bills are tax deductible. It's not fair. And I know, well, America's not fair. And I know a lot of people say, and we get this comment a lot right here, which is like, you just have to adjust your lifestyle, right, accordingly. Duh, it's not hard. Yeah, but it comes to a point where you can't just adjust your lifestyle anymore. You can't just correct your spending. You can't just clip coupons, right? At some point, enough is enough. At some point, you've really done everything you can and you just can't do it anymore. And Americans are just getting pushed and pushed closer to that point where there's really nothing else they can do except sell their house and go somewhere else. And that's what you're seeing with a lot of people. Think about like all the phone calls that people are getting for refinances. Think about all the people who are getting reverse mortgages. Think about all the people who are getting HELOCs and people who are taking equity out of their homes. The only thing that they've ever actually been able to build any kind of wealth in. And now that's getting taken away by private equity. It's getting taken away by the banks and people have nothing. right? This entire system in America right now is just meant to harvest any kind of equity and resource that normal American people have been able to build up through their lifetimes and just leave them with nothing and throw them on the street. But once they're on the street, what can they do? Now you're a criminal if you're on the street, so what, you're just going to get thrown into alligator Alcatraz. It's ridiculous. The whole country is ridiculous at this point, and honestly, people just had enough. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments section. If your bills are going crazy this summer, they are saying that in a lot of states that have had a lot more clean energy, the bills actually aren't going up as high, and in some states they've even still gone down. But in the states that are still really dependent on coal-produced energy, they're seeing a lot of the prices really skyrocket there especially. Or in places that are more tech-heavy, that have a lot of data centers that are really just robbing the energy from the people. So tell me what you think in the comments section. Like and subscribe. Think about becoming a member to support us. This channel is funded by you guys. We don't do any kind of sponsorships. We've been getting some offers lately. They're not something I really want to do. I really don't. But we appreciate your support as always. And for the members that have been with us for the long run, hey, you guys are freaking superstars and we love you here. But thanks for stopping by.